Alright, so this is going to be a video about simplifying a rational expression as well as finding its excluded values. And now excluded values are any values that you cannot put in for a certain variable because then you would be dividing by 0. And that's going to make a lot more sense once we start working out this problem and once we start factoring out and looking at kind of the nuts and bolts of what make this problem up. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do with simplifying this rational expression is we're going to factor everything out completely. So the first thing that we're going to do is factor out the numerator. And you're going to be looking for two numbers that multiply to get negative 35 and add to get this negative 2. And those two numbers would be negative 7 and positive 5. So we're going to have x minus 7 and x plus 5, like that. And then we're going to divide this by this whole thing factored. Now we're going to look for two numbers that multiply to get negative 30 and add to get negative 1. So that those two numbers would be negative 6. So we're going to write x minus 6, and then we're going to write x plus 5, because negative 6 times 5 is negative 30, negative 6 plus 5 is that negative 1. Okay, now that we have everything factored, it's going to be a lot easier to figure out what those excluded values are. Now the first thing that we're going to do for excluded values is see what values of x can you not put in, because if you did, you would be dividing by 0. In this case, we have this x minus 6 on the bottom and this x plus 5. From there, you should be able to see that if you did x minus 6 and you set this equal to 0, x would be equal to 6. So because of that, 6 is actually one of the excluded values for this. So that means that x cannot be equal to 6. So instead of saying equal like this, I'm just going to actually put a line through it. X cannot be equal to 6. It just means not equal. We're going to do the same thing with the x plus 5. Now it cannot be equal to 0. So what we're going to do is subtract this 5 over here, and x cannot be equal to negative 5. So these would be the two excluded values. However, we're also supposed to simplify this rational expression. So in order to do that, we have to cancel out any common terms that they have on the top and the bottom here. In this case, it's this x plus 5 and x plus 5 right here. So your simplified answer would be x minus 7 over x minus 6. Okay, so this would be the simplified in green. The purple right here represents the excluded values for the rational expression. You cannot have x equal to 6, because if you did, you'd be dividing by 0 in this case. And then you cannot have x equal to negative 5, again, because if you put this in here, you would be dividing by 0. So that's basically simplifying a rational expression as well as finding its excluded values. If you have any questions about anything in this video, let me know.